From Abuja, the nation's capital, this is Matters Arising, coming to you live from Abuja KAFTAN Television. Matters Arising is the flagship talk show of KAFTAN TV that features in-depth discussions and analysis of topical and trending national and international issues by our team of seasoned broadcast journalists. My name is Maucauley Hunohashi, saying thanks for joining us.
And I am John Okoro. Welcome to the program.
And I'm Evelyn Epelle. It's good to be here.
We welcome you to today's show, which promises to be engaging and incisive. You can also be a part of the conversation by calling our telephone number, which is 0802-993-8365, which will be displayed on your screen in the course of the show. Guys, this is day 7 of the nationwide protest. But, you know, something that has been an integral part of human nature is the weather,
yes,
which has predated, civilization. And that's what is commonly known as, August break. And I thought in the last 1 week or so, we have, moved into the August break. But all of a sudden today in Abuja, where we are, currently located, there was heavy rainfall. I don't know about other parts of the country, but in Abuja there was rain.
Yes, I think I got held up with some little flooding somewhere around the area. But I was glad that the weather sort of cooled down a little bit, so I'm happy about that.
The fabled August break. I know the way people observe these things. Sometimes it's even amazing. For sometimes, I never had time to even observe the break. But this year, this particular one in Abuja, I observed it. Well, at least I noticed that at least in the past 4 or 5 days or thereabouts,
yes,
not even a single drop.
Not even a single drop.
The sun came out so bright and you couldn't even see any any cloud.
I wasn't cautious of that, but now that you've said it, that's very correct.
And suddenly 5 days or thereabouts or so, and suddenly this morning it resumed with very, very heavy rainfall, and even up to this evening it's still falling in Abuja.
Would you say the fable was demystified also?
Well, it's not demystified. It wasn't demystified. It actually manifested itself. And took notice for the first time.
Okay. Don't worry, guys. I'll talk to the rain.
Well, before I introduce our topic of discussion, let's join Bridget Mamman for a quick roundup of events and happenings in the polity.
The Nigerian army has admitted that one of its soldiers shot and killed a 16-year-old teenager, Ismail Mohammed, in Zaria on Tuesday. The Director of Army Public Relations, Major General Onyemi Nwachukwu, who confirmed the sad incident, said the soldier involved in the killing of the teenager has since been arrested and is undergoing interrogation. The Chief of Armed Staff, General Taru Lagbaja, has also sent a delegation led by the General Officer commanding 1 Division, Major General Lambe Sarasu, to visit and commiserate with the deceased family. Nwachukwu noted that the incident happened when people suspected to be hoodlums blocked the road, setting fires and attempted to attack the troops, prompting a soldier to fire a warning shot to scare the hoodlums away, which unfortunately led to the death of the late Ismail Mohammed. And the Plateau State government has announced a relaxation of the 24-hour curfew previously imposed on the Jos Bukuru metropolis due to the improving security situation. Governor Caleb Mutfwang made the decision after consulting with security agencies. Starting from Wednesday, August 7, 2024, residents are now allowed to move freely between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. daily until further notice. The governor has also urged residents to cooperate with security personnel and report any suspicious activity. And the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Lanre Issa Onulu, has urged Nigerians to map out survival strategies amid the economic fallout of the removal of petrol subsidy, adding that poverty will worsen if subsidy is returned and being demanded by the End Bad Governance protesters. Issa Onuli, who stated this on national television on Wednesday, admitted that there was a trust deficit between leaders and followers in the country due to the repeated cases of broken promises. He also appealed to Nigerians to promote all the efforts of this government to ensure the nation survives without subsidy. And the former chief whip of the Senate, Senator Ali Undumi, has apologized to the leadership of the ruling All Progressive Party, APC, for not consulting the party before publicly criticizing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. Undumi, who also represents Borno South in the Senate, however, said that he stands by his word, insisting that however he said or did was out of patriotism. Senator Undumi was removed from his position as the chief whip of the Senate in July following a letter by the ruling party to sanction the lawmakers for his criticism of government policy.
Welcome back, and thanks to Bridget for taking us up to speed with events making the headlines. And now to our topic of discussion tonight, which is still on the nationwide protest. Today is day 7 of the End Bad Governance protest called by Nigerians to speak out against widespread hunger and the economic hardship that citizens have been battling with in recent time. There is relative calm in many states across the country as business activities have gradually returned to normal. Public and private offices have also opened, even though with minimal operations. Despite the positive outlook, many Nigerians are still expressing skepticism about the dire situation and have chosen to remain indoors for the moment. The federal government has been working round the clock with the nation's security agencies to arrest the situation, especially as it pertains to the violence and looting witnessed in the course of the protests in many states. Prominent Nigerians have taken a swipe at government's action to the protest, with some modicum of consensus that the response has fallen short of addressing demands of the protesters. They also called for caution in handling the protest by security agents, while urging the protesters to take advantage of the president's call for dialogue. They have also called for caution in handling the protest by security agents, while urging the protesters to take advantage of the president's call for dialogue. I beg your pardon. There was clampdown on miscreants, looters, and those that were engaged in perpetrating mayhem, as well as arrest of elements who brazenly waved Russian flag in Kano, which authorities described as treasonable. As of today, no fewer than 7 states have imposed curfews, and the situation remains unclear whether the protest will run its full course of 10 days or whether the protesters and their leaders will opt for dialogue. Guys, we are waiting with bated breath. This is day 7 of the nationwide protest. There have been, reactions have continued to trail the president's broadcast. There are clampdown on protesters with arrests being made. Over 1,000 naira in the last count. Over 1,000 naira arrests have been made. And so far, as of today, about 7 states have imposed curfews, even though some of them have relaxed the hours, for the curfew. Across Kaduna to Jos, Kano, Jigawa, and the rest. And government is still adamant. But I was made to understand, John, you told me this evening that there was a video clip that emanated from the presidential villa that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, having seen the contrast and the continuous disregard for, for appeal for the protesters to sheath their swords. He has also come out to, further appeal for calm and protesters to, end the nationwide protest. But we're still waiting. Government has not come out with anything concrete by way of, responding to the demands of protesters. So it beats my imagination that we're still in the middle of this debacle.
We're not a process country. You know what that means? I'm an engineer, so I'll tell you about systems thinking and processes. Okay. When you have a complex system, which Nigeria is. Nigeria is a very complex our problems are tangled in such a way that nobody is right and nobody is wrong. Everybody can explain and justify their stand. It doesn't really matter where you're standing. But we're not a process nation. And I feel that the lack of systems thinking in analyzing and resolving these issues is really why we're even stuck.
Okay.
But I'm grateful that this is happening, because the way change works is that until a body receives a push from some sort of external force, either to change its direction or to, move faster, whatever, it can continually remain in a spot. So I see this protest as that external force that is provoking, or that may or provoke change to happen. But I'm concerned because we're not a process nation. So there's a flurry of activity that is seemingly aimed at helping resolve the problem, but it's not coordinated. So everyone is just trying to solve the problem, and in the process we're moving around, but it's a scattered, the entropy is quite high. So how do we begin to strategize in such a way that we can clearly map out the problem and say, okay, these are the problems that we have. Another issue we have is like we're trying to solve all the problems at the same time. Because I've come into what this protest has done for me. I haven't really seen much of the protest. Maybe it has got to do with the jurisdiction where we're at, right? But what this protest has done for me is that it has caused me to come into a state of reflection, where I am reflecting. I've been very reflective all week, reflecting on people who are genuinely impoverished and what this means for them, right? So for some people, it's an outburst. They want to have an outlet. It doesn't matter what it is. Some people are at their wits' end. It's frustration, really, the frustration that there is no hope. There's another set of people, maybe like us, who have a sense of balance or order in our life, but we're still frustrated by the pressures where it doesn't matter how much you're working or how hard you work. Mr. Okoro is a very hard-working man, but it doesn't matter how hard he works, because the harder you work, the harder the country becomes. So it's like a perpetual chase that, it's running away. The more you're running to it, the more it's running away from you, right? But I see that fundamentally we're not a process nation. And I see that we are trapped in a very complex problem, but we're not solving it systematically. That's pretty much my summary about everything going on.
Well, for me, the protests, as it were, we're using that protests here in context, reflecting what happened across the country generally, both in the north and in the south of the country. It has brought out so many things. One of them is what I term the army of unemployed youths. You could see the anger. You could see the mayhem that these people perpetrated in terms of destruction, violence, lootings, and everything. Yes, we have tried to use words like miscreants, street urchins, hoodlums, but these are Nigerians. And you ask yourself, every year we say we have millions of Nigerians, millions of children who are out of school. So these children who are out of school, where are they? What are they doing? Every year we say we have this social number of people who are unemployed. These unemployed Nigerians, who are they? Where are they? When they are unemployed, what are they doing? How are they surviving on a daily basis? So these protests has actually brought out some of this into the fore, because some of the destructions we saw, while some of them were acts of criminality, some were also out of anger by the people. Then that is one. Then secondly, we have also seen that civil authorities, in terms of law enforcement, is still not, that we are not still there when it comes to civilian law enforcement. There is still this colonial tendency of law enforcement agencies being high-handed, being very high-handed in terms of crowd control, protest management. That's why today we hear about people being shot. Throughout these protests so far, I've never heard that one protester was armed and tried to attack any law enforcement agency. I have not heard.
No.
I don't know whether you have heard.
No.
But we have heard that unarmed protesters were shot and killed. In fact, the army headquarters had to admit that a soldier killed somebody in Zaria.
The killer was even arrested.
And the killer had been arrested. So that's just an admittance from the army. Despite the fact that the police the other day said that they didn't use little force on the people. So, it has opened up a lot of vista for us as a people, whether whatever might be the outcome of the protests. But the fact that it has opened up a lot of vista that will also engender more discussions.
Let's open our telephone line so that our viewers can call in to make the program more interactive and conversational. And I'm going to, at this point, I'm going to build on what you said concerning the lack of process. And my concern has to do with the absence of strategic communication. Now we have gone beyond that one now.
Which is also a process.
Exactly. We're supposed to be talking about even damage limitation strategy. I've seen, when we draw a parallel between Nigeria and Britain. Britain, their protests coincided with that of Nigeria, arising from, Islamophobia by the far right. The Prime Minister of Britain, Keir Starmer, came out. He was the first person that came out to speak on behalf of government. Nobody else. Followed by the Minister of Interior. But here in Nigeria, even just yesterday, take a look at yesterday. Ajuri Ngilale has spoken. Bayo Onanuga has been talking. The Minister of Information, Idris Mohammed, has been speaking. Yesterday alone, all the service chiefs, from General Chris Musa to Ongala, the Chief of Naval Staff, to the Chief of Air Staff, Abubakar, to Director of SSS, to even the Immigration Director, the CS people on watch list,
the CDS.
I would have thought that there will be a coordination in terms of the process that they talk about, that the National Security Advisor should be the only office that should be talking to Nigerians. They should bring all their security reports to his desk, so that he can appoint someone that will be speaking on behalf of Nigerians. Pick somebody to speak to Nigerians, because there's damage already. And you and I, we have lost a lot. Government has lost a lot in terms of, when we talk about the economic loss, or financial loss and gains. Nobody has gained anything. Rather, we're talking about losses. Everybody's talking about losses. The government has lost. Businesses have been shut. Offices have not opened. So, who is supposed to be talking, in terms of damage limitation strategy?
Mr. Hunohashi, when you were speaking, I immediately thought about the parallels where we have genuine concerns here. The stresses and strains in the economy, there's high inflation rates, high unemployment rates. People don't see a clear path to success. When we even talk about during the campaign trail, most of the parties had a hope in their campaign slogans. We had renewed hope, something hope, coming, incoming hope. Hope was plentiful, right? People don't see it. There's no clear path to that. I still remember when I opted to use diesel diesel sets. I used to buy diesel for 350 naira a litre. But currently, that same diesel is selling for 1,600, 1,800 in some cases. So even if I even have a diesel set, I personally cannot afford to spend 1,600 naira a litre to buy diesel. Right? I simply cannot. So people, number one, people are not seeing that. So there's the first parallel line is that there's a justified reason to respond to the frustration with agitation. So that's one line. In another line, you talked about out of school children. We have a crisis at our hands, which is the educational crisis.
Okay, we have a caller. Good evening, this is Matters Horizon. You're our first caller tonight.
Hello, this is Shadrach from Bayelsa.
Shadrach, go ahead with your contribution, please.
Please, this protest is my contribution is this: let's not beat around the bush. The whole thing that is causing this protest is the rise of fuel, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and the issue is the president is having handshake with those that are causing this issue while punishing the poor people in Nigeria. That's my intake. Then the second thing is the high food price of Nigeria is caused by the Boko Haram and all these thoughts that are in the bush. That are trying to collect money from the farmers. If they bring the products to the market, they will inflate their price. These are the issues that are causing this protest in Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Shadrach.
Okay. And the issue is, let the government look at these angles. Let's not see, when they say they want to protest, there will be destruction and all the rest. They know all these things, that these things will happen. So these are not the things that we should be discussing.
Okay.
The basic case is the things that are causing the protest. That's what the government should be looking at.
Okay, thank you so much, Shadrach. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.
And I'm sure you just heard what he said, like, oh, this is not what we should be looking at, this is what we should look at. In a complex system, you have to look at everything. Because those things is asking us, he's saying that this is not what we should be looking at. They're still part of the things we should be looking at. But I agree with him that, we should go back to the root causes of these problems. And he's saying is the fuel price increase. Now, look at how complex this situation is. Let's walk back. Is the fuel price increase? Why was the price of fuel increased? It was because subsidy was removed. Why was fuel subsidy removed? Because there was a lot of misappropriation and corruption in the way and manner the subsidy
regime was working.
I will even call it subsidy business now was going, right? And why is the subsidy business going the way it's going? Is because there is lack of accountability for the waste in our public infrastructure. And why is there lack of accountability for the waste in our public infrastructure? Is because for years and years and years we've had bad leadership, and the impunity has grown to the point that in Nigeria you can steal as much as 40 billion naira and nothing would happen. So do you see how this cascade of issues, even the ones you're saying we should not talk about, are still part of the problem? Okay.
John is itching to say something, but let's take this caller. Good evening, this is Matters Arising from KAFTAN Television, live from Abuja.
Hello, good evening.
Your name, please, and where you're calling from. You have 30 seconds to contribute your...
Thank you. This is Sally from Katsina.
Okay, Sally, go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, what I wanted to say is this. Nigeria as a country has a lot of issues that even to the extent that when this war will be wrapped up, the whole issue will not be resolved. We have a lot of issues that even we have. It's only God that will just help. But that is just what I need to say in this. It's only God that will help in this crisis that we are facing. But we have a lot of issues. Like today, for example, just like one of the callers said earlier, this banditry of a thing. Today I was a victim of a bandit. Only God saved us out of this along Katsina Kankara Road. I saw them live with my eyes. So that is, and those people they are living within these villages. They know them, but the problem is the security, the national security office that we have, the intelligence office that we have. I don't know what they are doing. And these same bandits, they are working with security officers, security architects of this country. They cannot tell us that they don't know where those people are. It's not possible because we see them on daily basis. They work with those security. So a lot needs to be done. The problem we're having is beyond the Tinubu that we're having in that place. It's only God that will help us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
I think at this point we need to give God a Nigerian passport.
And visa.
Yes.
We are very religious, and even when God has even finished his work we still want him to continue doing his work because they always say that God has made everything and created everything good, fine, well. Nigeria will say wella, a kind of
wella.
Yes, Nigeria when they want to emphasize when they want to emphasize on something that is very good, they'll say wella, a kind of. So while we all believe in God, believe in the potency of prayer and everything, but at least we should also play our own part.
Right.
Like some of the litany of things that you mentioned just a moment ago, you can imagine how far we've gone, how far we've deteriorated, in terms of governance, in terms of public service, in terms of accountability, in terms of probity. It is impunity that has taken over. And like in the local parlance, we say that when something that is bad is allowed to persist for at least 1 year, 12 months, it becomes a tradition.
I feel like 12 months is a long time.
They say if it's a year, if a bad thing is allowed to linger and persist for at least 1 year, then that thing becomes a tradition. And that is exactly what we are experiencing in Nigeria today. Impunity has become a tradition because no one cares. Nobody cares.
I will give you, I feel exhausted.
Please don't be exhausted.
I feel exhausted because the solutions seem very common sense.
Hold your thoughts. Good evening. This is Matters Arising. Go ahead. Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
Yeah, I'm calling. Hello. Okay, I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm calling from Port Harcourt. My name is Isaac.
Isaac, go ahead with your contribution in 40 seconds.
Okay, my contribution is that let me borrow the word of the president. I am really bleeding my heart on this issue of arresting protesters because they carry a flag. The question I want to ask, which all of us are aware of, we are very much aware of Nigeria spending hard currency in our country. If you consider people carrying flag as oppressed, what about this our senators, president inclusive, our ministers spending dollars in the country? And that is a national symbol. It is one of the things that the flag, the same way the flag serves for the country is the same way our currency serves. So if you don't consider these people as committing offense, how then will you now arrest a protester, people that are protesting with not because of the flag? So these are the issues we should ask ourselves.
Okay.
We should ask ourselves this specific question. That today you are prosecuting people because they carry a flag of another nation. And yet you spend another country currency in our country. My brother.
Okay, thank you.
It's a very happy thing to really understand.
Thank you very much for your contribution. We appreciate your call. Evelyn, let me build on what you earlier said, and even John mentioned it. You were concerned about the army of unemployed youths, particularly in the northern region. I'm a northerner, and I feel very, very seriously concerned about the growth of, army of unemployed young people. And now, when you look at the young people that were carrying the Russian flag in Kano, from the ages of 5, I saw ages of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there is this, in social science that says environment affects behavioral attitude. So these youngsters, they are being groomed and they are being given orientation, of anti-establishment, of protest at that very, very young age, and that is how they are going to grow. And they are going to grow as illiterates, because they have been denied by the authorities. They have been denied education, Western education. They have been denied their values, and they will grow as cannon foders and willing tools that can easily perpetrate mayhem. When you ask them at the snap of your finger, go and burn that mosque, go and burn that church, go and destroy that property, we rely on handouts. They will readily go and take out those actions. So my concern is, when you look at them, they don't have any feeling. They don't even understand why they are doing what they do. So they hoist those flags and wave those flags. They don't even know which country those flags belong to. I saw the tailor that was alleged to have been arrested, who was the one accused of, designing those ones. He's not a fashion designer. I've listened to Sheikh Usani on one of the sister network channels, who said the man is a patch tailor. That perhaps there is a politician somewhere that does not like the Tinubu administration. They are subtly looking for a way, to ensure the downfall of this regime, particularly regime change or through some subterfuge. And these are the people that pay the tailor and give him materials to put these pieces together to create those flags and distribute them to what we refer to as miscreants, for them to embarrass, the government.
And today the government organized what I might call a diplomatic town hall meeting, where many diplomatic missions in Nigeria, assembled, and ministers now showed up. The Minister of Information, Minister of Foreign Affairs, trying to sell the government policies to them. And one of the issues that came up there was the arrest of some Polish nationals in connection, with the flags, the Russian flags that some people flew, during the protests. So, but however, this is also something that is novel in the country, because I have been trying to remember whether we've ever experienced anything like this before, whereby in the midst of protests we started seeing foreign flags within. I don't think this is
even during religious protests in the past.
It never happened. So it's an indicator. It's an indicator.
Yeah, because
it's an indicator that something.
So anything that would bring some kind of relief or anger, people would do it. Exactly. I was trying to talk about, before the protest started, which was July 31st. There was a town hall meeting that was called by the office of the Speaker of House of Representatives.
That's right.
Welcoming young people, youth groups and organizations. And I had the privilege of being invited to that event, and I attended it. And when I sat in the hall for the first time, actually it's even my first time that I would be at the House of Reps for a town hall meeting, and I was enthusiastic going. I genuinely wanted to know what the engagement was going to be like. I expected it to be interactive. When I got to the venue, I realized that all of the speaker was there, and all of the other dignitaries that were called there. They had an MC. It was a very well organized event. You could tell from the branding and all that was done that a lot of planning had gone into organizing that town hall. And of course there should have been a budget, right? I don't want to think that the MC wasn't paid, or all those people I saw were not scheduled in a way as part of the agenda. But I started to observe something. You invited young people to the House of Reps for a town hall meeting. The way I understand a town hall meeting, it's supposed to be deliberative in a way, or interactive, where there's exchange of ideas, and at the end of the day, there's a communique that says, okay, the people from NANS, this is what they said are their problems. Everyone can talk about what their top 5 issues are, and then there can be an aggregation of the issues, and then you know what the most pressing ones are for young people, and you begin to resolve it. None of that happened.
Okay, let's take this caller. None of that happened. Good evening. This is Matters Arising.
And for the first 2 hours, it began with a lot of, would I call it, rehearsed speeches and goodwill messages. There was a lot of conversations about initiatives that the government has implemented, which, to be honest, sometimes I was like, these things are happening in Nigeria. I heard there's 110 billion naira need fund. I was like, where is it? I didn't even know that some of these things are happening. They talked about bags of rice that they were sharing. I called my family members on my maternal side if anybody got rice. I did not get any information from them. I called my family members on my paternal side. Nobody said they got any rice. So there is this thing I see where people are now sick and tired of. I would call it a cognitive dissonance, which is that the reality that I see and I know from your words, your actions, and the patterns over time shows that you're playing me.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm aware that you're playing me. It's obvious because I'm not stupid. And even if I'm stupid, I can't be stupid forever. At some point, your stupidity would
So you have heard figures that was meant for you, but never resonated with
and I've
you.
never seen it. Even there was a time I heard that the government was giving palliatives, they were giving some people money. I personally do not know anybody
And you are a Nigerian.
who has received such. I went as far as going on my groups, man, and asking people, oh, please, I just want to report on this. Is there anybody who has received? I don't know one person who has received any of this. Now, the young people who came from far and wide, another thing I wanted to talk about, all the dignitaries were sitting, in fact, they even reserved seats for some of them. Some of the dignitaries, for sake of not wanting to even get too emotional, I was disappointed to find some of our leaders even coming to the town hall meeting like 2 or 3 hours after the town hall meeting had started. And they kept seats for some of these people, and they would come into the hall. Even some of the youth that have been there since, they will ask you to stand up so a latecomer can sit down. Then they would announce the arrival of the latecomer.
Let's take this call. I can see how vehement you are. Good evening. This is Matters Arising.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Go ahead. Your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, I'm my name Joe from Kaduna.
Your contribution, please, in 40 seconds.
Yeah, seriously, sir. Honestly speaking, sir, for this our nation, Nigeria, honestly speaking, we don't have government. Because what I realize is that, like this security that we have in this nation, this bandit that they are in bush like that, this bandit did not pass Nigeria power, but I'm surprised that they can do anyhow for this nation and nothing go happen. But any small thing that a citizen did, they will just go after that person at once. I don't know what is happening. And this our nation, I don't know whether the country is all about money. They don't even care about the poor people. I don't know.
It's short of words. He doesn't know. He didn't even know how to conclude.
It's still the same thing that I'm talking about. Every young person in that town hall meeting that I spoke to all believe that the town hall meeting was called because of the protests. But at the town hall meeting, we were told that it is not because of the protests the town hall meeting was called, that the government wants to be inclusive and include youth.
Was it on the 31st of
It was on the 31st of July.
Okay, I'm aware of that.
Wednesday.
The day before the protest.
The day before the
protest.
And at the end, he promised that he was going to take his grievances to Mr. President.
Yes.
And get back to you.
Yes.
I'm aware of that.
Yes. You know,
and he never did.
I was trying to also say that you invited young people to a town hall meeting. Nobody, at least for the I was there live.
You were there.
Nobody asked any young person what their opinions were. All of the panels were already programmed, and they brought people who were on, who were government, have aligned with the government and all of that. And I start to ask myself, if you present fake solutions to people, they will become even more enraged than they were even before you offered that. If that town hall meeting had not held, I'm telling you, young people would not even be as upset as they are now. Because we're upset because even in the midst of the grievances and all of that, he said, oh, let's come for dialogue. I still wore my suit and acted like I'm not angry. It's fine. I'm open to dialogue, and I still showed up. And then clearly, you're not inviting me to dialogue. And to be honest, for the 3 or something hours that I was there, I felt like I was being used for a photo op. Someone was just trying to make me appear in a picture, and they'll say, oh, young people were here, whereas, I'm telling you what people shared with me, and the sentiment. The sentiment
it was supposed to be a very successful spin.
I think it was part of the strategy.
I love the strategy, but I'm saying the way it was implemented. The way it was implemented, I didn't even expect. This was not that in a time of crisis.
Okay,
you shouldn't have
John, you're itching to talk. Let me take this caller. Good evening, please. You're welcome to Matters Arising from KAFTAN Television.
Hello?
Go ahead, please. Could you turn down the volume of your TV set and then mention your name and make your contribution?
This is Sule on the line.
Sule, please, could you help us to turn down the volume of your TV? Okay, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead. From where? We can hear you.
I'm calling from Port Harcourt. This is Sule on the line.
Go ahead with your contributions, Sule. We can hear you loud and clear. 40 seconds, please.
Okay. Number one, the first root cause of the problem we are facing in this country is the subsidy removal.
Everybody knows that.
The and everything will be solved.
Okay.
That is not the only problem of the youth now. I remember when we applied for jobs, little or no time, all of us that applied, no names we should. But with the full names of other people that don't even apply, published. Nigeria, they are fed up. We are tired.
Okay.
Thirdly, Nigerians are not good for only drugs. We are not good to be injected into the system of politics in Nigeria. We inject youth into the system. We have brains in this country that can fix things in this nation. Please.
Okay.
Secondly, the next one, our military. I don't want to say that they have failed us. But a lot of which amount of money have been injected into insurgency. Money is being injected and we don't see results. Is it that they can't end Boko Haram or end those bandits in this nation? We don't have capability to do that. All the whole sector is sick and needs to be, delivered. So let every system wake up. But this is our motherland.
Thank you.
And as our motherland, we should be moving free and enjoy the benefit of our motherland.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your contribution.
I think government should stop playing the ostrich. You know what the ostrich does?
Yeah.
You know, the ostrich will just dig a little ground,
Bury his face.
and then bury his head inside and tells itself that it has buried the whole body inside. Why it's only the face? Why the rest of the body are actually outside? Now, you know, to turn this country around for the better is not rocket science, but it must come with that vision and the will. The problem we have in government is that those who step out to serve see government as transactional. It's about what is in there for me. So by the time they go in there and they now see what is in there for them, they will now forget the people and then take everything and forget the people. If we can get leaders, both at the local government level, at the state level, at the federal level, who are going to be ready to sacrifice their own selfishness for the good of all, this country will change. But the problem is that even as we are speaking now, politicians are getting ready. They are marking time, waiting for their turn to go and continue the profligacy. That is the bane.
I would, since we're a God-fearing...
That is the bane of this country.
So, I've seen posters for the replacement of Andy Uba.
Exactly. This is the bane of this country.
Died in,
it's not rocket science.
Right.
What the government is doing now, going about media spin all over the place, is not changing anything. It hasn't changed one iota of the problem, of the hunger, it hasn't changed even the indices of inflation.
Okay.
Nor has it changed the indices of unemployment.
Let's take this caller, John. Good evening. This is Matters Arising from KAFTAN Television in Abuja Studios.
Yeah, this is Four Square.
Four Square, go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, I think that will listen to some of the presentation.
Okay.
Because I also appreciate the way they take time to, lay out the different strands as relate to various, subtopics.
Okay.
But basically, the root cause, I don't think we need to go into that.
Okay, that's right.
Now, what are the things here that we expect to be in place for a change in the situation? Unfortunately, I would say we don't have anything in place. First, we talk about hunger. I expected maybe I'll call it a Marshall Plan on how we need to restore our reserves. Whatever is coming from our farms, because that is where the trouble, lies now. The government talking about importing already, if you listen, the president said we're already spending 97% of our earnings on debt service. I heard that about 4 years ago from the then Minister of Finance, that they were using 97% of our earnings to service debts. So the money we are spending now, where is it from?
Okay.
There are a lot of things that are going on that we cannot place our hands on. It's simple. We don't have money. Take it from me.
Okay.
The remaining part of the 2024 appropriation, the budget, if it's 10 million that we are planning to spend, I will assure you that 70% of that money is already eaten. Because everything is in paper. The memos are ready for one project or the other that never get delivered. That is where the president needs to consider cutting down the size of government, because this is where all the money goes to.
Okay.
We have too many proposals, too many budget lines that, like I said, our budget, 70% goes into the pocket. That's why you see a lot of abandoned projects here and there. So you keep these people who will not have a confirmed source of revenue or funds to take care of whatever it is we're planning.
Thank you.
Then the family we're talking about, the guys that call from Katsina, that's the trouble, that's another trouble we have. Because I've had the opportunity of going around some of the states in North Central, parts of the North, and I can tell you for free, we're not ready yet.
Okay.
You are talking of security. What kind of security do we have in place? It's common. These guys, they are still bold. Unfortunately, we don't get to hear much of it because it is the news that the government wants you to hear. And if I'll just quickly add, now...
Make it in 10 seconds, please.
Yes. See, the protest we're talking about, the lady there talked about attending the town hall meeting.
Yes.
For that week, that whole week before the protest, all they were doing was meetings here and there, distributing funds. I mean, down south, in my own area, you see the local government chairman threatening that nobody should come out for strike. And you know what? Sorry, protest. And you know what this has done? So much anger has been built up.
That's true.
So much.
Yeah.
So now we think that it has been managed. You saw even in Abuja, even in Lagos, I saw a lot of videos, some in your station and some other stations around, where people were openly threatened. So the anger is building up, and the government doesn't have any specific plan that we can hold on to and say, yes, in the next 3-6 months, there might be some respite. All these things that we like throwing money at every situation. She talked about those money being distributed. You'll be shocked. 50 billion for 5 years. For those who are 5 years and below, maybe 50,000. That's all you see around there. Nothing concrete, and it's unfortunate.
Thank you.
When you see people, throw their hands in despair, they seem far. The politicians there is just to spend the money as it comes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, he's just taking us back to the beginning when I talked about we're not a process nation and we're not applying system thinking to solving the complex problem. And all of these problems are intertwined. Even the people say, no, these are not the root causes of the problem. These are the issues. All the issues are valid. But we need to put all of these issues together like a jigsaw puzzle and say, okay, these are all of the issues that we have. Let's begin to solve this problem systematically. This is what I was telling someone the other day that, do you know that if this government comes and says, we can't do much for you guys, but we would ensure that we would spend all our time fixing the energy problem, and that's the only thing we achieve. In fact, half of our problems are solved.
You earlier mentioned that we have a penchant of solving everything at the same time.
Exactly. If this government can just say, the only thing this government has achieved is the electrification of Nigeria, and that's the only thing they've achieved, personally, I would be satisfied. And then another government comes in or whatever and say, okay, I'm going to fix the problem of out of school children in the country, mass education. Thank you so much. But this idea of trying to come and tell me you've brought 100 billion, look, anything that sounds grand is often a smoke screen, and you need to check it, right? So I'm not really impressed at the way and manner we are approaching this. He also talked about how we were telling people not to protest, meaning that you've offended me, I'm angry, and you're also trying to dictate.
And I placed you there to serve me.
You're also trying to dictate my response, which makes me angrier.
Exactly.
You know, and so I just really want Nigerians to know that any action that you're carrying out that is not in favor of our progress is still harmful, and we perpetrate even more harms.
Okay.
All right, I think what I have to say here is that this is an opportunity for a complete turnaround for the country in terms of the way government interfaces with the governed. Because, you know, you have this wide gulf.
Has there been any interface?
I'm saying you have this wide gulf. Because for the people, it is about we. And for government, it's about we and them. You know, we, the people, see the government as them. And we are the we. But it is not supposed to be so. Because, you know, government is about the people. But, you know, the concept of democracy in Africa, you know, hasn't been well understood. You know, the African person, the African traditional, okay, there's a caller.
John, we'll take this caller.
Okay.
After this caller, we'll take 40 seconds each to wind up.
It's all right.
Good evening, this is Matters Arising. Your name, please, quickly.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, your name, please, and where you're calling from.
I'm speaking from Delta State.
Go ahead with your contribution in 40 seconds. Go ahead, sir.
Actually, this governance of a team, this governance of a team, the democracy has gone astray. They are not leading us to the direction we wanted. The country, they have turned into the governance of the government, of the elders, not the elders now govern and lead as if it is a tenor for themselves, leaving the youth aside. And the people are hungry. Those outside youth who graduate from the school, they are there. No job, nothing. But those in government, they look to the treasury and they read themselves and leave the masses. Living is hungry. And not only that, there is no accountability. Whereby after half of office, you're supposed to come and get your stewardship. How do you cover? And what do you do to enable this country move ahead? But now they just leave it as a self-centered business of which belongs to only them, leaving the entire country to suffer.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Okay, now formerly fuel was being bought at the rate of 160.
Thank you, sir.
Now, but
thank you so much. We are running out of time. I can feel the pain, you know, in his voice and look. Okay, 40 seconds each so that we can, as we wind down.
Complex problems require systemic thinking and strategic approaches to be solved. It is true that we are here and it seems like we can't move forward, we can't move backward, we're stuck. But I strongly believe, just like Mr. John rightly said, that this is an opportunity for us to write a new social contract that responds directly to the needs of the Nigerian people. And that if democracy is for the people and by the people, it has to deliver the benefits that it posits. I want the government to know that shared prosperity is possible, that they can prosper and the people can prosper as well. And I want people to know that their anger is justified. However, anger must be channeled correctly for it to be effective. Because if you don't channel anger correctly, it then becomes destructive. So that's the message that I have.
Mine is, I know there's a local parliament that says, if you want to know how good a weekend will be, you have to start from that kind, like Thursday. When the Thursday is showing you some good signs, you know that this weekend is going to be a good weekend. Tomorrow never comes. We only have today. So this issue of have patience, you know, we are working. No, we want to start seeing things happening now because we only have now. Tomorrow never comes.
Well, my take is that government should not be taking this kind of, protest based, triggered by widespread hunger for granted. We can see what has happened in other countries. What comes to my mind is the Bangladeshi protest that the Prime Minister had to take to her heels. That's how far we can go on our package tonight on Matters Arising. We thank our esteemed viewers and our vibrant callers who made the program very, very interactive and interesting and conversational also. On behalf of our producer, Ruben Okala, and the entire production team that made the program possible, I remain yours sincerely, Maucauley Hunohashi, saying good night and see you next time.
I am John Okoro. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
And I'm Evelyn Dan Epelle. Think strategically.
And as we say on KAFTAN Television,
Imagine a beautiful world.